China is hiding something in the Olympics Games.
There's a scandal overshadowing the Paris Olympics. And no, it's not this. It has everything to do with China.
Of course it does.
Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. It's another Summer Olympics, which means another chance for China to win gold and show everyone they're the best country. And they'll dope as many young athletes as necessary to prove it. Because it turns out, as unbelievable as it may
The cope. Man, let it go, man.
seem, China isn't the best at following rules imposed by international organizations. One whistleblower, a former doctor for top Chinese athletes.
This is from 2017. A former doctor has revealed. Who is the former doctor? It has no name. Who's this person?
Claimed in 2017 that more than 10,000 Chinese athletes doped in a state-backed program in the 1980s and 1990s.
1980s, 1990s. Man, this was like 40 years ago.
Wow. That's the most Chinese citizens that received a shot from the government since Tiananmen Square.
That joke would be funny if we're not talking from the United States, where the government shots people all the time. The president, the guy who's running for president was shot like weeks ago, man. Wake up.
But this is crazy. Are you telling me that these Chinese athletes might have been doping? Their names, by the way, are Liao Mengshui and Tong Zhenhuang, two champion Chinese female athletes. They're female. But, I mean, that doping scandal was ages ago.
See how fast he showed the news? Because then you have no time to read and try maybe to Google it to understand if it's this true or not. And just because they look like a man, is that a problem for you?
Certainly there's no reason to believe that doped-up Chinese athletes are competing in Paris, right? Yeah, what's that, Shelley?
Chinese athletes, especially for swimming team, are tested 6 times more than United States athletes. 6 times. And didn't get caught.
So it would appear that, in fact, there's a massive doping scandal casting doubt at the Paris...
There's no doping scandal. There is a lot of white people crying a lot like babies because one Chinese guy won a gold medal. You didn't see that, right? When Michael Phelps won 8 gold medals in China. China was not crazy complaining, saying he was doped, even though he's the asthma team. So the United States swimming team is called asthma team because all of them has some exemptions to take asthma medicines. And the asthma medicine has some kind of doping effects. But hey, it's okay. It's United States. It's Michael Phelps, right? He's just a phenomenon. He's just built for swimming. It's okay that he has 28 medals in the Olympics.
Paris Olympics.
One
So
Chinese...
what's the scandal? Well, back in April, the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, confirmed that 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive before the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Yes.
So what happened is they get the people, they investigate what's happening, what caused it. That's how it works. And it's not only with China. It's not only China. These Western people, I'm Brazilian, so we are not considered as Western. These Western people are just crying like babies because China is winning gold medals.
You heard that right. They tested positive in 2021, but the story broke earlier this year.
Why do you think so? The story was broken. Why? Why do you think so? There's no reason at all, right? It's just a coincidence.
The scandal. And yet, these swimmers were allowed to compete and win at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Maybe they were afraid of what would happen if they tried blocking China from entering their waters. The 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive for trimetazidine, or TMZ, which is a heart medication that has been used to...
So I'm living in China. I'm Brazilian living in China. And here they are joking that, how come the United States won no medals for the shooting competitions? And the Chinese answer, yeah, of course, the shooting competition was not done in a high school.
to increase stamina and recovery time during heavy training. Not to be mistaken for TMZ that tries getting pics of celebrities throwing up after eating too much Chipotle, which is any amount of Chipotle for the record.
It's not real food, right?
The China Anti-Doping Agency, or ChinaDA, claimed that the swimmers had tested positive for extremely low concentration of TMZ after inadvertently being exposed to the
but that's how
substance
it
through
works.
contamination and should not be held responsible.
That's how it works. They find someone as positive for the test, so there's a counter proof. So they test again, and then there's lawyers involved, and then you have a chance to explain your case and defend your case and say, hey, this happened because I was taking a medicine that was prescribed by a doctor. This happens all the time. It happens with European athletes, United States athletes, but there's no problem. Nobody creates all this fuss about it because it's white people winning. If it's a Chinese people, just wait when the Africans start winning this kind of sports that normally only white people win.
For the positive results. And WADA never conducted an independent on-the-ground investigation. Partially, they said, because the pandemic made it difficult for anyone to enter China. Instead, it just carried out a review using samples and data provided by China. Because China has a history of telling nothing but the truth. I know, because China told me so.
Yeah, of course. You're from the United States, the country that brought like baby powder to the UN is saying, hey, Saddam Hussein is using this to kill people. We should invade that country because of freedom, right? And then years later, the guy who was doing that said, oh, actually, that was baby powder. It was not any mass of weapons destruction. United States is very famous for telling the truth, right?
In the end, WADA took China's anti-doping agency at its word that the athletes accidentally ate burgers contaminated with the drug at a hotel. Pretty strange if I do say so myself, especially considering that TMZ isn't given to livestock, and neither kitchen staff nor guests at the...
But the other guy, the other American guy, the Lawai 86 guy, he said he talked with a specialist, and the specialist said, yes, this could happen. So you guys have to get your story straight, right? Your propaganda guys. You need to get together in a meeting from time to time, at least to tell the same story.
The hotel tested positive for it.
Because
in fact,
also he said it was in a restaurant. It was not in a hotel. Get your story straight, man.
in fact, the only evidence provided were trace amounts of the drug in sink drains, spice containers, and cooktop vents in the hotel kitchen. Which means there's only one explanation. Taiwan secretly doused the athletes' meat in TMZ to make them look bad. They're the bad guys here. Even two of WADA's top scientists weren't convinced that the contamination explanation made any sense. But when it comes to something
No sense at all.
that might make China look bad, who cares about digging too deeply? And to make matters worse, China named 11 out of the 23 swimmers that tested positive for doping back in 2021 on...
They were banned. They were caught in 2021, right? And WADA said they are okay. Now they are swimming 2024. It's 3 years.
the roster for its Paris Olympics team. Keep that in mind when you see China swim. The weirdest thing is WADA's inconsistency. Somehow, WADA thought that it was okay for Chinese athletes to accidentally consume TMZ, but not when Russian athletes made the same claim. WADA banned a Russian skater.
Oh, why so they are banning Russians? I don't know. Israel is committing a genocide. Israeli soldiers are competing in the Olympics and everything is okay, but somehow Russia is not. That's so weird, right? I have no idea why this is happening. Maybe because Israel is the United States puppet?
Who said she tested positive after eating a contaminated strawberry dessert ahead of the Beijing 2022 Winter Games. What makes her case different? Well, many suspect that WADA is kissing up to China. After all, WADA only just admitted to that 3-year-old Chinese doping scandal after the New York Times broke the story. WADA
Do you think it's just a coincidence that New York Times broke the story this year, right? Before the Paris Olympics? Do you think it's just a coincidence? After the Chinese Pan Zhongle broke the record for 100 meters in, I think was in Dubai or Qatar, and now he won the Olympics with another world record. It's just a coincidence.
privately cleared the swimmers of wrongdoing and allowed them to compete at Tokyo 2021, where 2 of them went on to win Olympic golds. To make matters worse, the New York Times also reported another case of Chinese swimmers twice testing positive for drugs, and they kept on swimming.
If they were kept and the WADA kept the punishment, they should be banned. If they kept swimming, it means WADA cleared them. That's how it works with the whole world.
WADA's excuse is that it didn't come out with the details about the case because it didn't want to run the risk.
And by the way, as I mentioned before, Chinese swimmers, they are tested 6 times more than the United States swimmers. 6 times. How they didn't get caught?
Outing people who might be innocent. It also claimed that it wasn't in a position to disprove China's claims. But, like mustard flavor ice cream, many aren't buying it. In fact, athletes like Olympian champion Michael Phelps
these guys, right? This is okay, right?
says athletes have lost faith in WADA since the scandal.
As athletes, our faith can no longer be blindly placed in the world of
The guy won 23 gold medals, but it's okay. Oh no, he's a phenomenon. He's once in a lifetime body builds for swimming and blah, blah, blah. And all this is accepted. But a Chinese win 1 gold medal is the end of the world.
Doping agency, an organization that continues to prove that it is either incapable or unwilling to enforce its policies consistently around the world.
He thinks they're either incompetent or malicious? That's ridiculous. It could be both.
Yeah, do you think so? That the guy that can win 23 gold medals and is okay? All right, nobody questioned that?
U.S. anti-doping agency CEO Travis Tiger also criticized WADA, arguing that it and China have secretly, until now, swept these positives under the carpet. In response, WADA said it was considering legal action against USADA and Tigard for accusing it of a cover-up.
If you're accusing, you have to have proofs. That's how it works in the real world, right? The thing is, there's a lot of white people upset because they are not winning anymore like they used to, that other countries coming for them, like China. And Chinese people are not considered white, so they are just crying. They cannot get this. How come? We are the privileged one. We are the chosen ones. How come you are not winning anymore?
He thinks he doth protest too much.
No, he thinks that you have to prove when you accuse. Otherwise, you have to pay for it. That's how it works, especially in the United States, the land of I know my rights.
Guess what WADA did next? Earlier this month, WADA put the U.S. anti-doping agency under compliance review, which in turn could jeopardize America hosting the 2028 Olympics.
For sure, they will remove
it in Los Angeles and the 2023 Olympics in Salt Lake City. The FBI and Justice Department are now opening a criminal investigation into the Chinese doping scandal.
The FBI, the United States Police, and the Justice Department of the United States opened criminal investigation in Chinese in doping case. I mean, as far as I remember, Chinese, they're from China. They're citizens from China. Why the Federal Police of the United States has any jurisdiction over Chinese doping case? How come this? And how come nobody is looking at this and like, this is insane? Imagine if it was the opposite. Imagine if it was like, oh, Chinese Federal Police now is investigating United States athletes getting doped, I don't know, in Paris. Imagine how crazy this would sound and how the world would be burning like crazy. Well, that's not possible. But somehow, the Federal Police of the United States investigating Chinese is okay.
But oh, guess what? The Association of Summer Olympic International Federation says that probe could keep the U.S. from hosting future events.
Probe of Chinese swimmers could be an investigation by American law enforcement into a doping case. Could keep, of course, because it's the United States law enforcement. Why they investigate Chinese people?
It cites fear for the personal safety of athletes. They're definitely not making a coordinated effort to stop an investigation into Chinese doping.
Again, United States police investigation. They have no jurisdiction over Chinese people.
By the way, the International Olympic Committee is now trying to crush U.S. probes into Chinese doping by also threatening Salt Lake City's bid to host the Winter Olympics.
This is insane. It's just xenophobia. It's just yellow peril, persecution. It's insane.
It says the only way they can host the games is if they recognize the sole authority of WADA.
Of course.
I mean, why would they question it? We can only speculate as to why the International Olympic Committee is behaving this way.
Oh, dollars. Yeah, who print dollars? Not China.
We do know that the IOC tends to favor China, like when they gave the 2022 Winter Olympics to Beijing, despite Beijing not having any snow.
Oh,
Then
explain to me how come Paris has surfing competition? There's no ocean in Paris. Oh, because they're doing Tahiti. Oh, maybe that's why. That's because Tahiti is a colony of France. Oh, right. It's almost like if there's an Olympic game in the United States, I don't know, in the Washington, and they decided to do the surfing competitions in Hawaii because Hawaii is a colony as well. Oh.
Then there's the Samaranch Foundation, named after Juan Antonio Samaranch, who led the IOC for 2 decades, hosted events in Xinjiang and Tibet where China's committing genocide, and profited
Committing genocide. Nobody has any proof about it, but of course.
off of slave labor. I guess the
Daily
Olympics
Beast. His source is called the Daily Beast. Very trustworthy.
are all about that gold. The CCP hates when I scrutinize what people who defend China
But
do.
CCP probably doesn't even know who you are because you are too. Your argument is too weak. Your reasoning is too bad. It's just too bad.
That's why Chinese state-run media has called China Uncensored disgraceful anti-China garbage. So join when I...
Yeah. So please leave a comment. He doesn't need money. I need money. He has over almost 2 million subscribers. I need more subscribers. So please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and let's go to the next China hater.